Live from WTOC, the Southeast news leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Well, thanks for joining us here for the news on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley, joined with meteorologist Dylan Smith. Happy Christmas week. We're just a couple days out now, hard to believe. And Dylan, it certainly doesn't feel like winter, even though we're officially into it now as of yesterday. We're expecting a pretty warm Christmas.
We are definitely going to be looking at above average conditions. It's not the warmest Christmas that we've ever seen, but we'll be above average probably by about 14 degrees is what I'm looking at right now. We average about 64 to 62 this time of the year. We're going to be looking at pretty much mid-70s by the time we get to Christmas Day. You can see warmest Christmas days we've had over the past 30 years or so, looking at pretty much lower 80s. But still right now, it is a little bit chilly out there. You're going to want to have that coat as you walk out the door. We're tracking starting temperatures at this 11 o'clock hour in the upper 50s. Still, the wind speeds that we were talking about throughout the morning, not as prominent, so definitely some good news there. And that helps out with what we're going to see as we go into the rest of today. Now, still going to be a little bit breezy out there, especially along the beaches as we go into the afternoons. Lots of sunny skies, so if you haven't been outside yet, make sure to grab a pair of sunglasses. And we'll look for those high temperatures warming into the 60s. It'll be pretty much upper 60s south of the Altamaha, mid to lower 60s elsewhere around the region. But then taking a look at our wind speeds, this will show you a good representation. It's going to be a little bit higher out along our coast. Could see a few isolated gusts up to 25 there. Going to be less for everyone else, but we'll still keep some of the breeziness there as we head into this evening. So any plans you have tonight, maybe going to look at some Christmas lights, I'd probably stay a little farther inland or just maybe not head out to the islands this evening. Still going to be looking at 50s during that time, so you'll want to have that coat. Very similar temperatures to what we saw earlier this morning. And the good news is we'll still have one cooler morning tomorrow. It'll be above average, but warmer weather. That's what we're kicking off the rest of the week. He's making the face.
No,
guys.
It was the Christmas light looking cast, that name for that last graphic. Did you come up with that?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know who comes out. I help make the graphics. I'll let them come up with the names.
Okay, a very unique name right there.
Okay.
We should get a sponsor for that.
Yeah, no, we definitely could get a sponsor for that. Dude, you know I'm like delusionally like on a little bit of sleep right now. Sorry, I'm trying. But let's get back to the weather. The good news is, Jude, that there's not going to be any rain chances out there.
Perfect.
So a few little isolated chances, maybe Sunday evening, but a lot of it's because of this high pressure. It's what's bringing in some of that cooler air right now, also the sunny skies. And then as we go into the next few days, we'll have more high pressure coming in off the Gulf along with this front. But since we have that high, it's going to push that front a little bit farther east of us, it looks like right now. So not looking to actually feel the cooler air like what they're going to be feeling up towards Charleston. And then still we'll be keeping those mid to lower 70s throughout the rest of the week. Gee, I put some more Christmas lights up there for you right there.
Thank you.
I didn't know if you noticed. But still pretty much it's just going to be warm and sunny and just great weather to be outdoors. It's really weird to me for it to be Christmas and it to be this warm. I'll be honest. I'm like, so this is what it must feel like in Australia because they're in summer right now. So I'm like, this is pretty much a cooler day for summer as we go into Christmas Day with 76.
Well, I was about to ask, do people here go to the beach on Christmas? Because I'm coming from Idaho, like you'd sometimes do Christmas on the slopes up in the mountains.
Well, I mean, you know, slope, snow, that makes sense. I've never heard of it being done on the beach, but I'm sure some people, everybody's got their own traditions, you know.
That's true.
Everybody does their own thing.
Make a new tradition.
It's going to be a great day to head to the beach if you want to. The water's going to be a little cooler, though, because it is still December. So even though the temperatures are warmer, the water will be cooler. Take that into account. And then pretty much what we're going to be looking at as we go into the rest of the week on into the weekend is those temperatures stay in the mid-70s during that time. Not going to look for any major rain chances until we get past Sunday, so no problems in sight. The one thing I did want to point out, though, is we already talked about that, but if you're going to be doing any outdoor burning, having these 40s and 50s, a lot of people, especially in the Southeast, we get excited. We're like, it's a great night for a bonfire. And it really is. Yeah. And a lot of people do it, but just make sure that you take into account that we are looking at some of that moderate to severe drought, and you also want to take this into account with your Christmas trees this year.
That's true. Well, it's interesting. I don't think we'll ever necessarily have a white Christmas here in Savannah. Knock on wood, I know snow isn't the best in the area.
Why would you do that to me?
Well, certainly not this week.
If everything changes tomorrow, I'm coming after you, dude. It shouldn't change.
If we're not having a white Christmas, I at least don't want to have a wet Christmas.
That's
so
fair.
It'll be nice that we're staying dry.
Touche. Yeah. No, that's fair, and definitely just beautiful weather for anything you want to do outdoors.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Go visit River Street, go visit Holiday Market, take a nice little Christmas walk, burn off those Christmas cookie calories.
That's what I'm going to be doing today.
All right. Sweet. Well, Dylan, thanks for joining us here on Plus. And we are going to continue with our top stories here on WTOC Plus because starting today, St. Joseph's Candler will enact visitor restrictions due to the increasing number of flu cases in the area. So the visitor restrictions affect all facilities, including the 5 you're seeing right now on your screen. Here's what the restrictions mean. If visitors have not been vaccinated this season for the flu, or if you have any symptoms of respiratory illness, then visitors will be asked to wear a mask. Anyone under the age of 18 is not allowed to visit patients at these facilities. And if anyone's planning to visit and they feel sick or has any symptoms, they're asked to not visit patients. And speaking of the flu cases are rising around the country. The CDC reports more than 4 million cases so far just this season. There's also been 1,900 deaths in the U.S. alone, including 3 children. Doctors in the CDC say the best protections are to get the flu vaccine. However, a Johns Hopkins University professor says this year the shot may not be enough because of the dominant strain that's been causing this surge.
It has mutations that may allow it to evade some, but not all, of the influenza vaccine-induced protection.
Doctors say people older than 65, children, and those with underlying conditions are particularly vulnerable, especially with millions of people traveling this week for the holidays. Well, the community of Bloomingdale is still shaken after 17-year-old Antonio Thornton Jr. was shot and killed outside of an apartment complex last Sunday. A GoFundMe has now been set up to help the family heal during this time. This was the scene back on December 14th. Bloomingdale investigators got a 911 call that a body was found outside and that he'd been shot. Antonio Thornton Jr.'s family calls him TJ. He was an honor student at Archer High. He played basketball and was involved in the church. He also helped run his mom's business, and WTOC spoke to her after she lost her son.
He planned on going to school to be an engineer. And now my baby can't walk across the stage. He can't go to school. He's not going to get married. I'm never going to hear my baby again. I call him every day.
We are working to learn more about what exactly led up to that deadly shooting. You can find the family's GoFundMe on our website, WTOC.com. So far, it's raised about $4,400. And TJ's high school, Archer High, posted this tribute to him on their school's page, saying, "Our class is carrying a heavy heart. Antonio's absence is already felt in the halls, in the classrooms, and by everyone who knew him. Even though he won't be here on graduation, he will always be part of our class." We do have developing state news this morning. 3 inmates, including a murder suspect, escaped from the DeKalb County Jail early this morning. The sheriff's office said the escape was discovered during a routine security check. The jail's entrance and exit were closed off as of 6 a.m. this morning. The 3 fugitives have been identified as 24-year-old Stevenson Charles, 31-year-old Yusuf Minor, and 25-year-old Neo Yohanes. Authorities say the fugitives may be armed and are considered dangerous. The sheriff's office there is urging the public to exercise extreme caution and to not approach the 3 escaped inmates. Well, Georgia's Public Service Commission unanimously approved an upgrade to accommodate data centers across the state. It's a 10 gigawatt boost to the grid, which is roughly enough to power 9 million homes. However, not everyone is happy about this. Justin Berger with our sister station spoke with one of the commissioner-elects who says he's skeptical.
All in favor, say, of adopting R1, say aye. Aye.
$16 billion for Georgia Power.
This is far larger than anything we've ever done in the state's history in terms of power. And it's an incredibly important decision that was rushed and not fully considered.
Democrat Peter Hubbard starts his term on January 1st, joining the commission responsible for regulating utilities like Georgia Power. Hubbard, one of 2 Democrats voted into the commission this past November. It's a big change for the board that's currently all Republicans.
We had, again, 2 lame duck commissioners who were handed a defeat, and the voters spoke, and they need to be heard. And so by pushing this through just days before myself and Dr. Johnson are to take our seats on the commission, it's really a slap in the face to the ratepayers.
I think this is a great thing for Georgia. Georgia is growing, and now Georgia Power is approved to go meet the demand of Georgia.
The PSC says they're freezing power bill rate increases until 2028. Georgia Power says customers and small businesses will not bear the financial brunt of new data center developments. Hubbard does not agree. He says the current grid could have been used more efficiently. He believes costs will rise to $50 or $60 billion once you factor in future construction, fuel, and operational expenses.
This was an attempt, in my view, to lock in a long-term solution for Georgia that is going to be more costly and more polluting than we otherwise could have.
Georgia is a great state to do business in, and that's why they're coming here. And the fact of the matter is we're just doing our job to make sure that we can serve them.
Well, continuing coverage, an Augusta man is still missing off the Georgia coast after a body was found on Friday. The Coast Guard, along with the McIntosh County Fire Department, are off the Sapelo Sound coast, continuing to search for 50-year-old Roman Waldera, seen in these pictures here, as well as John Strickland. We are working to learn the identity of that body that was found last week. Waldera's daughter says she spoke to her father for the last time that morning before he went out fishing. The Coast Guard says if anyone has information on the disappearance, to call them. They also say crews not part of the official search can create unsafe conditions and hinder response efforts. Well, the founder of a Georgia hemp company says the president's recent executive order to reclassify marijuana is a win, even if his business takes a hit. Mariah Norman with our sister station in Albany tells us how the executive order will impact the state of Georgia.
Hemp is recreational cannabis, where adult use cannabis for the entire country. That's what hemp filled in. And now they're kind of taking that away. So for folks like our industry, it hurts us. It certainly does. But I think I've got to think bigger as an industry whole and respect and understand that this is progress. This is getting baby steps towards where we've always wanted to get, and that's access to cannabis for everybody without hurdles.
A reclassification would move marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3. This would recognize its medical benefits.
This is a win. It aligns federal policy closer to science and public opinion. It helps patients with chronic pain, cancer, seizures, all these different things. We start going down this pathway.
But Shalom still needs clarity from the federal government. Just a month ago, Congress passed legislation to restrict THC levels in hemp products.
The recent legislation has tightened the hemp rules, right? They changed the definition of THC to include total THC. They capped intoxicating cannabinoids, closes loopholes for a lot of synthetics. That complicates rescheduling, right? Federal boundaries need to be clarified.
Friday was the final day of work in 2025 for our nation's Congress, and ahead of their holiday recess, South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace is reintroducing legislation that she claims will strengthen the nation's fishing industry while protecting Americans from foreign competition. The Protect Americans Fishery Act of 2025 expands what a so-called fishery dispatcher is to include harm to the economy caused by foreign actors. That includes market distortion, price gouging, and disruptive harvests. It would also direct the Commerce Department to investigate claims of forced labor and predatory pricing. Our sister station spoke to Representative Mace about why this bill is now needed.
This is a big deal for a lot of reasons, because we want U.S. companies and restaurants to buy American-made, particularly South Carolina-made shrimp and fish. We want to protect the way of life in commercial fisheries, fishermen, and the shrimping industry here. This does that.
While the legislation won't be debated before the end of the year, it will be on the docket when Congress returns in January. Well, even if you're a mean one, and even if it's now wintertime officially as of yesterday, it's hard to resist the allure of blizzards and hamburgers. As it turns out, that led to the undoing of one infamous holiday villain caught by Colquitt County deputies. The Colquitt County Sheriff's Office announced they arrested Mr. Grinch at a Dairy Queen Sunday morning. The Sheriff's Office received a tip he might be there. Corporal Abby Tucker and Deputy Colt Valdez sprung into action and grabbed the notorious bad boy on the scene. And Christmas is this week, hard to believe, and Rincon is joining in on the holiday spirit. The city of Rincon's Christmas market is now open, featuring ice skating, live music, local vendors, and food trucks. The event is free and open to everyone, bringing the community together for festive memories.
I started doing the Christmas market last December, and I am back this year. The advertisement for the market itself has been phenomenal, and also the turnout has been amazing. It's a free entry for all, and they do have ice skating, reindeer games, and milk and cookies with Santa.
And don't forget to stop by the market on New Year's Eve for live music from 2 to 10 p.m. And with that, we're going to wrap things up here for the news on WTOC Plus. We appreciate you spending part of your morning with us. We'll be back in just about 45 minutes for another round of stories during the news at noon. And in the meantime, you can always head on over to our website to catch the latest updates. Thanks for watching, and here's Local News Live.